Welcome to the semifinal draw of the 2019 U-18 Canadian National Championships. I'm Kevin Palmer, and I'm here with David Nedouin.
Good morning, Kevin.
Morning. We'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are competing this week on the traditional lands of the Treaty 6 nations, including the Blackfoot, Cree, Dene, Gros Ventre, Métis, Nakota Sioux, and Saulteaux. Indigenous people were joined by settlers and pioneers who together built this great community of Strathcona County. And our semifinal matchup this morning on Sheet C is the girls' draw. We've got Melody Forsyth and her team out of New Brunswick.
And Bella Crozier and her team out of Northern Ontario. And some people who are watching this probably will recognize that team from just a few weeks back at the Canada Winter Games, where they were representing Ontario and came away with a gold medal there. So really great season for this team. Here now in the semifinals of the U-18 National Championships, and expecting big things.
And we'll also maybe try to let you know what's happening with some of the other games as we're going along. This is the semifinal matchup, so to get here there was a championship round that was a double knockout. But this is a semifinal, and the loser goes home, and the winner moves on to the finals this afternoon.
So I've had a chance to watch New Brunswick over the last few days as well. They've put on an amazing show. They've played terrific over the last few days in particular. They had to win their last round robin game to get into the playoffs. It was against Quebec, and they had to steal 6, 7, and 8 to win, and they did. They just kept plugging away, and then yesterday, right down to the wire against Manitoba, had to make a draw to the forefoot for the win, and no problem, right on the pin to win to get into today's semifinal.
And this is lead Kaylee Smith with New Brunswick. She is actually in grade 7 and might be one of the youngest competitors here then at 12 years old, David. And
she is the youngest, yes. I think we have a couple 12-year-olds. We have Jackson from Team Alberta Boys.
And it looks like they're choosing to go right in on their first shot.
I think there's probably a little bit of nerves right now for both teams, but I mean, especially I think probably for New Brunswick. Playing the team that everybody knows, they just won the Canada Winter Games, so they're definitely on a roll. And the team that went through the first round of the playoffs in the double knockout part undefeated. So lead for Northern Ontario is Lauren Rajala from Sudbury.
Kaylee's favorite curler is Ben Hebert.
Yeah, which I mean, funny, we were talking right before this, and I was just commenting on how impressed I am with the whole team, but I mean in particular her sweeping is unbelievable. And I said she's the Hebert of this event, and then you told me that her favorite player is Ben Hebert. And I thought that's really funny. She is unbelievable. She's just a monster on the broom.
Is she? Yeah. Well, she mentions he's a really good sweeper and very funny on the ice. I don't know if that meant funny. Funny with or funny to
I
look
think
at,
Ben is somebody you can sometimes laugh at as much as you laugh with. Ben Hebert and company will be playing for a gold medal today at the Men's World Championships down in Lethbridge. Made a really great shot, a fantastic game last night for Canada to advance to the finals.
Yeah, good time management by leaving themselves almost a minute yesterday by the time they were. So
they could have had a coffee before the last shot.
Something like, or no, I think, no, it got down to about 35, 34. It was a little tense. I noticed there was a lot of comments you could pick up on the mics at that point.
Yeah. Well, this is what we see at times in this ice, isn't it? It's fantastic ice. It's as good as you could possibly hope for. It's a little bit different for a lot of these juniors who haven't played in an arena before. Just that difference between throwing at the broom and throwing positive. And here, there's no question you need to be throwing positive.
Yeah, so that was second for New Brunswick, Vanessa Roy, with an unfortunate miss on her first. So right now we'll see Northern Ontario split the rings. They do have last rock by way of their finish in the championship round, being undefeated.
Yeah, this is Piper Crozier. So Piper and Skip Bello are sisters, and coach is also in the family. So a family affair there. So Coach Sean Crozier as well.
So just light on that, so opportunity to hit and maybe even roll in behind that Yellowstone by Northern Ontario.
Much better throw this time, trying to get the roll behind the guard too.
But as we see, a lot of action on these rocks and this ice condition, so a lot more action than these teams would commonly see. You can hit 3/4 of a rock and easily roll out, actually. It's something they have to adjust to, but they would have by this time in the week. I imagine they're have great experience, which is what's fantastic about this event, right, David, is just to give these young players an opportunity to play in these kind of conditions.
Yeah, and it does take some experience. Both these teams did play at the 2018 U-18 Nationals as well, so they do have some experience. It was in New Brunswick, and the New Brunswick team here got to play in it, so kind of got their first taste at it. So there, that is an advantage. There's no question. You come into here kind of eyes wide open, knowing what to expect.
And a pretty good shot right there here early in the game. So a little pressure on, this is Kaylee's sister, Carly Smith. You'll note that Carly throws without the broom. She actually has a prosthetic. She was born actually missing her arm, so curling still giving her a great opportunity to play at a high level, and
she's so good. She is so
fantastic.
good.
You can see here just a fantastic shot. No problem there. Big pressure in the first end right away.
Yeah, and has a prosthetic built to be able to hold the broom so that she can sweep, and she's right up there with her sister as an extremely powerful sweeper.
And this is the third Smith on our sheet. Always good when you can get that name to pronounce, Dave. No challenges there. We don't have to worry.
A little tighter on this one.
I think, is she trying to move it a little bit and jostle around?
Well, definitely threw more weight, so we're not seeing the curl. And that's the one thing that you do notice on this ice is that as much as we talk about how much curl there is, it is very weight sensitive. So anything you throw above draw is going to take a longer time to start to curl. So she would have easily got the curl they wanted, but she was 5-6 feet heavy.
Melody sort of maybe a bit asleep there at the beginning of the game. She didn't really brush that Yellowstone out of the rings, and it looks, I know it looks on air here like it's out, but we've seen that most of the other draws that rock's more likely in.
So a good chance now for New Brunswick to make that hit and roll, get another one behind. They were actually sweeping to add some curl to it when
So it does just stick around, and it's its second shot. So that actually doesn't look like much, but it at least benefits them in that regard, that maybe they can avoid a bigger end if Northern Ontario makes a couple shots here. Still buried around that corner guard. So for an end that looked like it might be pretty inauspicious, all of a sudden we've got 3 rocks in the rings and a guard. So it can flip pretty quick from what looked like a blank.
Yeah, better weight on this one, and it's curling a lot earlier, as you can see. It's on the guard.
But I think too light as well, maybe.
Yeah.
If that.
Well, you're looking at about 14.5 seconds to T-line. She went from a 13.0 basically on her first rock to a 15.8 on her second rock, so just a little too much adjustment.
So interesting decision here. New Brunswick without hammer is choosing to draw to the open side.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with that is if she makes a really good draw, where she's got the broom right now, is probably going to end up out in the 8-foot. It's going to force Northern Ontario to say, okay, fine, we might as well just go for 2 and ignore it. Play that freeze anyways that they've played for 4 shots and still have a chance at 2.
Yeah, I think I like even trying to tuck it around that guard. You don't even need to fully bury it. Just put something out there that's blocking off the path.
Yeah.
Because that red rock nibbling and then the 4-foot there is behind the tee line.
Yeah, I think the draw around the guard was probably the call. You'll see Northern Ontario, I imagine, ignore this one. Good weight, though. Good throw.
Definitely putting some pressure on them early, though. And still has to make the shot, so we'll see what happens here. So New Brunswick sitting 3 currently.
The one thing you're not going to see is Northern Ontario make mistakes out of being put into a situation of pressure where they're like, oh my gosh, we have 3 rocks in the house, we better hit one. They're just going to play the game. They know that they have a chance for 2 here. They're going to make good decisions.
So good communication there by this team. So they were at this event last year as well. It sounds like they've been together for many years, so they are a team as
yeah,
well,
they've
right?
been together for a few years, absolutely. So that was 14-5, right on the number.
And after I just said good communication, they might have just misjudged that a little bit.
Yeah.
Needed to get shot on that, so
Yeah, just a missed line call.
actually hurts them more than it helps at this point. Now I wonder how those yellow rocks are lined up, but the only thing I guess if you're New Brunswick is don't leave them a double.
Exactly.
Or anything that allows them to get 2 points.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they don't throw right now what Northern Ontario does. I think they probably draw for 1.
Yeah. Did they indicate there, I think maybe just a guard?
Yeah, I think they were thinking just top 12-foot. But like you said, you don't want to slip into the top 4 and leave an easy double now.
Yeah. So this is Melody Forsyth. This team's out of the Curl Moncton Curling Club. Actually in grade 9, so still quite a young player and has some years ahead of her.
Well, I think this is going right into the 4-foot. They better make sure it's back far enough not to leave a double then.
Yeah, they should be sweeping that.
Yeah.
It looks like, oh no. So still, I think that's quite a bit flat, but all they have to do is just move it an inch or 2. That's bad communication for sure.
Yeah,
Needed to take that back, even 3 inches.
And that's everybody. I mean, that's one of those lessons that you take away as a coach in this first hand and show this shot and say, you know, girls, make sure that when you're calling it, you're saying where are the areas that we can leave it, where can't we leave it, and as sweepers, that you're communicating exactly where it's going to stop so that your third in the house can decide what to do.
Now, I don't think they're actually, are they playing it for the roll here?
No, I think it's just for 1. It's pretty flat.
Yeah.
I think it slid probably a few inches far,
just
far
made
enough.
It, but yeah. Well, I think Kevin Cooey might try this. But I think at this level, it's a little bit of a different story. I mean, the kind of weight you'd need to hit probably 8/9 of that rock and
very hard.
Try to get it over. Now, this is a little bit out there. They're trying to directionally sweep to keep it and hold it, but good shot and hit and stay for 1. So Northern Ontario ahead after 1, and New Brunswick will be 1 down with hammer in the second end.
Yeah, it really curls up nicely, especially from Hogline in. Good control weight. Didn't overthrow it.
So mission accomplished for New Brunswick, which is to get through that first end without hammer and with their nerves. So looks like they're all intact so far. I imagine they probably feel a bit like the underdog. They're a younger team. I'm sure they know then that this team has had that success and recent success.
I would think so, but you know, from a coaching perspective, they're sitting down and having a conversation that doesn't really matter who you're playing. That you've earned your way into the semifinal just like Northern Ontario did. I mean, you beat Manitoba yesterday in an amazing game to get here. So one of the other favorites. So there's no reason why they can't come out here and just keep putting pressure on like they did and see what happens.
Well, they made some great shots at that end.
Yeah.
Really, once the pressure was on. Now this would be an ideal spot to try a delayed corner guard, I think, David. You've got a rock sitting right on the top forefoot.
I agree.
The play is, at that point, you want to hit and actually roll away so you can take play away from the center. Your opponent then is likely to hit. Now you throw up the corner guard, and of course then with the 5-rock rule, can't be removed. And you've got great positioning with hammer. So
yeah, throwing the hit.
So they are throwing the hit. We'll have to see what happens in the next couple of shots. Good release and really nice shot.
Yeah, great throw. So see Lauren Ragel play the hit now as well. And then to your point, New Brunswick will throw the corner guard.
So no mistake. And let's see what Melody chooses to do.
No, they're hitting
looks like
again.
they're going to hit, actually.
But this is where you have the delayed corner guard. You play the hit. Northern Ontario hits. 5-rock free guard zone. You can throw up the corner guard, and they can't remove it still. A little surprised they played such a good first end to play a little bit more cautiously this end.
Now, having said that, if you're an underdog in these kind of situations sometimes, it's not bad to shorten the game a little bit. If you want to keep things simple as well, not get yourself into too much trouble. You will want to take chances at some point. Certainly you are down, you've got hammer, but you can almost lull the opponent into a close and tight game and then attack later.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, I think if you said to them you could be one down playing the third or fourth end with hammer, they probably would have thought that's a pretty good situation. But I definitely think they have the firepower, they've got the execution to play with Northern Ontario. They don't need to play defensively. I think they could throw, I mean, we saw in the first end, the draw weight was fantastic by them. They're throwing well. A little bit of a tricky hit way on the wings now.
So Vanessa's actually also one of her other interests is horseback riding. And she actually also wants to head into medical school. And does just catch a half the rock, able to remove it, but rolls out of play. So we have an open house right now.
Actually, this morning was a chance for curlers to recognize the Fair Play Awards for the various athletes. And second here, Piper Crozier was the Fair Play Award recipient of the 2018 U-18 Canadian National Championships. So that's voted on by the umpires of the event.
So there's so there's different awards. So
there's different awards.
Okay.
There's fair play that's voted on by the umpires, and then there's the sportsmanship that's voted on by the players.
What's different? What's the difference between fair play and sportsmanship?
Well, I think if you argue with the umpires, you don't get fair play.
Oh, I see. Okay. That's why they vote on it. Yeah.
And very, very high academics as well. She was also highest academic achievement award for grade 9.
I was just worried it was a little bit like when I coached T-ball and everybody got an award. It seemed like maybe but no, there's only select players.
You would not have got an award here, but in T-ball, yes, you did.
I meant from my coaching, David. It just does seem these days that we hand out a lot of awards and don't want anyone to go home without a trophy, right? So, but no, I mean this is the age now where they start reaching that stage of it is competitive. If you lose, you're out. And so.
Nice hit by Jamie Smith.
Now the one danger of playing out an end this way, in particular with the ice conditions and the amount of swing and the action you get on the rocks, there's no guarantee you're going to blank the end.
No,
right,
that's
level.
true. I mean, you do play the end to blank it, but you still need to make it. You're right.
So at this level, you may still see a nose hit once in a while, and
very possible.
Everything you've done in the end then is kind of for naught. Oh, now this might give an opportunity.
Should be out.
Just out, but let's see if Northern Ontario wants to do anything with that. No, they choose to actually just play to the center.
So Jamie Smith drawing to the button, top forward. Actually, Jamie goes to St. Charles College.
They could have chosen to try a freeze here, make it a bit more difficult. Maybe a little hesitant to go way out to the wings like that.
I think they're probably thinking the same thing as you. There's no guarantee there's a blank anyways. So, they still need to make it, so just put it in the middle.
Put as much house around the rock as possible. Yeah.
And also, if you're playing to the wings, there is a chance you come up a little bit short potentially and give New Brunswick then the guard that they need to go after their two.
A guard with a rock to draw to. Yeah. So some of the other semifinal games we've got on the girls' side, we've got BC, a team we saw yesterday afternoon, David, playing against Ontario. And on the men's boys side, not men, boys. We've got
Ontario and Manitoba.
Ontario, Manitoba.
So Manitoba came through the first round of the playoffs unscathed. And then on the far sheet, we have Nova Scotia and BC.
BC, yeah. Manitoba, Nova Scotia, actually two teams we saw play yesterday morning. So Nova Scotia actually bounced back then from a tough loss to Manitoba. It was a much closer game than it appeared. It was a big 5-ender actually by Manitoba that opened that one wide open, but with a triple takeout.
Then on the other side of the curling facility, so in the curling club side, we have our mixed doubles going on. So there's some semifinals and finals action later on in that. Ooh, this one's really going.
Oh, just maybe got a soft handle on that. Not a positive release, perhaps.
It takes so little just to have that small kind of soft release on it, and it just has such a big effect.
And interesting that we were talking about how it's not likely a blank could occur, and we never once thought, oh, you know what, there might actually be a chance for a deuce. So if New Brunswick can put this out to the wings and split these rocks effectively, they'll have a good chance at two. Now, what are your thoughts, David, on mixed doubles as a sport? Either that you'll have athletes who decide they want to pursue one or the other, or do you think, like we've seen thus far in Canada, it's predominantly been the top athletes that are elite at attempting both. But do you think we'll see specialization?
Yeah, I do. I think so. I mean, I think the top athletes are always going to be able to compete at a high level in the mixed doubles, but just like we go through, the process of learning all the different subtleties and statistics and best practices in four-person curling, and I think to your point, we don't even necessarily know all of the impact that for yards owners even had on the game at the four-person level. We're going to see more specialization in mixed doubles and really learning that game well. And there will be some people that I think specialize in that. I think so. I think we're seeing somebody like John Morris doing that right now, where he says he has no interest in playing four-person curling anymore, and he is going to specialize in mixed doubles.
But if the phone rings, you never know what might happen.
It's possible.
Now, this was a little unfortunate. It would have been nice to have this come a little bit deeper.
Or higher, right? If they had even left it,
higher,
again, just that little communication on where is the best place to go.
Now, it looks like they did get did not get the double, but still, they have to, with all the curl, as we've seen, have to be really careful here not to come across the face of the rock. And it could be held to one, potentially even a steal, depending on the result. So,
yeah, nose hit.
At least a more difficult shot than it would have been. But a good chance early here to actually get up for the New Brunswick team. So final stone in the second end. Good sweep there, and no mistake, it's a hit and stick for two. New Brunswick will be up 2-1, and Northern Ontario will regain hammer in the third end.
Yeah, nice shot. They had a lot of ice for that, so it was all about throwing the right weight, and it certainly looked like she was going to be on the wide side and rolling out, but it's all weight. She threw, she threw just control weight, board to control, allowed it to use that curl. They took tons of ice to do that, so well played.
Yeah, and you see the just unfortunate for Northern Ontario there, a miss on her first, and then the double was almost there. They catch that maybe just a half-inch less or an inch.
Or even an inch thicker, and she just sits right on top of it.
Yeah, the two. She was sort of between the two, yeah. Which can happen many times.
Yeah. That's a tough one to call.
And Kaylee, at 12 years of age, still young, so, asking her what she wants to finish school, that's probably not a fair question, but she's very honest, saying, I haven't decided yet, but something that I can earn lots of money so she can have a large shoe collection. So, she's also a competitive gymnast at trampoline. A U-13 provincial soccer champion as well.
Well, there's that upper body strength from the gymnastics.
Well, and I think soccer as well. It's an underappreciated sport. I had the opportunity to be at a conference in Boston, the Sloan MIT Analytics Conference, and David Epstein was there. He talked about, he has a new book. He was being interviewed by Malcolm Gladwell, great Canadian, and the new book's called Range, and it's about how young athletes should compete at sports, and this idea of specialization actually, how it can actually hinder your ability to succeed at sport. Like Federer's example, played many sports as a kid. He wasn't even that good at tennis, actually, but soccer in particular for him, for Nash, right? For Akeem Olajuwon, soccer is a very interesting sport for other sports.
Lacrosse is often played by a lot of hockey players. But builds that hand-eye coordination.
What was interesting, though, is golf is a sport that lends itself to repetitive natures because there's no ball moving at you. There's no opponents coming at you.
Shouldn't be.
Yeah. And hit and roll out here. Had an opportunity to hit and stick for two. But, again, we have a fairly simple end. So we can ramble on about other things that people may or may not be interested in. But I'm fascinated by it because I think, there has been, since we were kids, Dave, we played everything. Now you've got kids that are 10, 11. You've got all these U sports. And they focus. You've got kids in Canada playing hockey 12 months a year. I've always questioned whether it made sense or not. Now, what's interesting about curling is it's a little bit like golf, right? There's a repetitive delivery nature to it. So it probably does lend itself to some focus. to continue that repetitive piece. But then, you know, you're also looking at the visualization component. Who knows? I mean, it's a pretty. I'm sure curling's not part of the examination of that book, but it would be interesting to figure out what's the best way to create a top athlete. Well, one way is to give them opportunities like this in an event like this, for sure.
I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. It's you need variety. You need to play other sports. You need to get away from the curling rink for parts of the year. I had a conversation with Jason Strudwick a couple years ago, former NHL player. He played with the Rangers and I think with the Canucks and with the Oilers. And he asked me as we were golfing, what did I think about, you know, the 12 months a year, camps and everything else. And I told him I was a very strong opinion that they need to be doing other sports. You need to have variety. You need to build up muscle development in other areas of your body. And he's like, yeah, he goes, I knew you'd think that. And, you know, as athletes that have, you know, reached a fairly high level, generally we all believe that. He goes, it's so funny when a parent comes to me and says, hey, Jason, what camp should my kid go in the summer? And he goes, what I would tell them is they shouldn't go in a hockey camp. They should be playing another sport. And then at the moment, the parents realized that Jason Strudwick didn't know anything and stopped asking him. And he goes, all I can do is shake my head.
So this was a delayed corner guard move here by Northern Ontario. And so you see New Brunswick brought another rock into the rings. So opportunity to try and, I guess, either attempt a very thin double or hit roll in front, I think. Yeah, that's... Actually, just a hit on the nose. There's a little bit of a gap there. We'll see what it looks like. New Brunswick wants to roll away from that corner guard and avoid it. An interesting wrinkle, of course, in 5-rock at this point now. You're without hammer. You've got nothing in front. It's and your opponent has that corner guard. The corner guard is such an extremely powerful weapon for the team with hammer.
A little bit tight on this.
And it does come up, removes that corner guard that we just discussed, so not the outcome they were looking for.
Yeah, generally in this ice, that's the one thing you don't want to hear out of the hand is, you know, gotta go. You can definitely let them curl. You're just going to have a real hard time holding them. So Piper Crozier playing the hit on the back one to sit 2.
Another one, it looks like it's, they're
on
it right away.
Too, yeah.
They were trying to roll away. At this point, it looks like
trying to stick.
They're just trying to stay. Actually, almost a little fortunate to roll that far away.
Yeah, turned out pretty good.
Even the slash double itself looks pretty difficult. I'd just be tempted to try to hit and,
yeah, right there.
Stay over top of it, make the next shot difficult. So Carly's also competitive in soccer, volleyball, track and field, and cross country, and hopes to
that's
follow.
A little on the wide side. They might want to change it to playing the double now. They got to get his curl for a piece.
They're trying to some directional sweeping here just to get something of it, and we'll see.
Close to the double.
It does just jam right on it. Not a ton of weight, so it's going to be difficult to remove both. Needed to really hit it thin.
The directional sweeping is something we can have a conversation on in the next end, that there's not any rocks in play. Just trying to stay on nose. A little bit of an inside roll, I think.
Definitely a little more roll than they hoped for.
Yeah.
This does leave a chance for New Brunswick to get out of the end.
There is. I don't think there's any hole there either, so she can take a good throw at it and try and make the double.
Yeah, a lot of room for error. She could still just spin off the top, not really worry about keeping the shooter, just get those both out of play.
Got to throw a little more weight, though.
It's been interesting. We have not seen a lot of draws, so it'll be interesting as we go forward in the game whether the players still have a sense of draw weight. I mean, they've played all week, but still, I don't know about what you're thinking there, Dave, but when you've gone through a game and you've just played so many hits. Great job.
Good throw.
As you said, rolls out of play, but no worries. on that. Happy to get out of that.
Kylie on the
trouble.
broom there, just head down and work. And
Yeah. Fantastic force, great technique as well, right?
It is.
Shows that you don't necessarily have to be as large and strong to get the effective sweeping.
No, exactly. I mean, somebody like Caitlin Laws is a great sweeper, and I don't imagine she weighs much more than Kylie does at 12.
I mean, a chance at least to throw a draw as well, because like I said, there's just been a bunch of hits. Like, what is your thoughts, Dave, when you've gone, say, 2-3 ends? It doesn't feel like anyone's thrown a draw. Is that, do you worry then about being as effective when you got to make a big one?
I think on ice that potentially changes through the game, that's an issue for sure. After 4 or 5 days here of watching this, I haven't seen the speed change one bit. I don't know if you think it has or not, but I really don't think it's a concern right now.
So in other words, they've played enough games, they should be comfortable at least being close to the draw weight. And of course, as you say, if you got great sweeping.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's communicating with the thrower. It's 14 and a half seconds. It's not changing. A little down on weight.
Oh, and Melody's first shot. A bit fortunate there, as you say, down on weight. Came up a little bit, but they were able to remove the shot. That's the first step. Nice to stick around and at least make your opponent hit instead of, as we say, continue to get a sense of draw weight. But
she threw that weight last end, which was really great because they needed to curl to get their 2 points. You know, when you have a wide open shot like that, not that they need to throw peel or anything, but I think a little bit more weight just to hold that line a little bit longer is probably a good call.
That's the thing. If it's coming with that slower weight, it's the variability in how much it's coming sideways as it's coming into the house. You want to try to keep it, hold it straight, have enough weight to not worry about whether it's going to come up on you at all.
And I was a player and as a team with the Furby team, I always believed in throwing less weight to give it to our sweepers, allow them to hold it to basically make the shot for me. Whereas somebody like Kevin Martin, you know, who I played with later in my career, he believed in throwing a little bit more weight and just taking that curl out of it. So it's not right or wrong, but you know, definitely there's a point where you're throwing too little weight that you're expecting a lot of curl.
So they do bring it in the top 12.
That one was 15.3, so pretty much exactly as we expected. 14.5 to T-line, 15 to top house.
A good result if you're looking to blank as well, because there's a good chance here for New Brunswick to possibly roll out of play, and even if they do stick, not much risk for Northern Ontario, as it's just even a nose hit would blank the end.
I think she's okay. A little bit of panic, maybe.
A bit at the start, but it definitely did look like a good throw.
More weight, right?
And does just nibble at the top 12, so they'll have to make a play on it.
So as a thrower now, are you thinking nose? Are you thinking peel and roll? Because you can't roll in. If you're thinking nose and you roll in a little bit, now you sit for one. I think you're playing it just like a peel.
Just close your eyes and throw lots of weight. Isn't that what you do?
Not much ice, though.
Not at all, yeah. Final rock of this third end. Need to be positive with the release, and yeah, it does actually look like this is going to roll in, David.
Yeah, or maybe roll the other way out. That is not the plan they had in mind.
Yeah, plan B.
Yeah.
And it is a blank end. Northern Ontario will retain hammer heading into the fourth.
Good result. I think that was probably a little bit of an indecisive call. You know, nose is good, so let's just put the broom here and make sure we make contact, but then you're a little bit tight, and they're actually fortunate they didn't roll in for a point. So
very fortunate, yeah.
But good result. I think both teams probably feeling like they're, they've got the nerves out. They've played a few ends, probably both in a happy position where they're at.
In the other girls semifinal right now, Ontario stole after the second end, so they're up 2-0. BC has hammer.
So first rock by Kelly Smith. They're going to just call it in again. They've got their 1-point lead. They're going to put it in. And maybe we will see the delayed corner this time.
Well, actually, that's what they did. That's what Northern Ontario did last time.
Exactly.
So something they may want to do. Or if they want to actually get to know, they're going to actually go right for the corner here. Partly because perhaps with the rock in the top 8 foot, it's not as close to the button. And it's still in the center. Or maybe they just have felt like the last few ends it's been a little too open. They want to get more rocks in play. If you do think you are certainly the more seasoned team, and the New Brunswick team a bit younger, maybe hasn't had as much experience, and maybe not as strong understanding how the rocks will maneuver when you get to put a lot in play, you want to try and put pressure on them. And then sometimes that can backfire because then you give them an opportunity, they make a big shot. So.
Well, the only thing to keep in mind on throwing the guards now is that when New Brunswick goes and throws the center guard, that in-turn draw for Ontario coming home was already cut off because of the amount of curls. So they always have to make sure that they give themselves a shot if things don't go the way they want to be able to score in the last rock.
Well, that can be the danger of the 2 corner guards. So a lot of teams I know, depending on ice conditions or depending on their philosophy, because I think a lot of teams right now are still evolving what they think of.
Right on the side. Sorry, Kevin, Broom right on the side of the boards there for that, right?
Yeah. But, the question being, do you put up 2 corner, 1 on each side? Do you put 2 on the same side? I've heard different variations on what teams like to do. I don't know if we have an answer yet on what works better. But
I think with this much curl, you definitely have to be careful about putting 2 on the same side, or 2 on opposite sides, because you might not leave yourself a draw to score.
Yeah. It's actually a really good shot. Now, did they...
Well, they were playing just short. No, they were playing just short, so, slid a couple feet heavy, but not bad. I mean, that's a pretty good shot.
And actually, you can see there, Northern Ontario is going to make a play on this.
And so we got, well, that rock curled right to the center line, and she was on the edge of the boards. That's how much curl there was on that side.
So if you think of a corner guard somewhere in that BP logo, it would actually not have gotten to that spot.
Yep.
Now, I think here, are they trying to get the roll? They were.
Just no.
I actually don't mind this.
Yeah. It's a good throw. Drawing around there, Kevin.
Not going to make a play on it. They could have attempted to hit it, although not that easy to remove it.
No, I think drawing around is definitely one way to get there. You could also tap and unlock those and stay on top of the yellow one, change angles a little bit,
and then be able to remove it on your next one.
Yeah.
What's interesting though is depending where this gets placed, you actually might leave a fairly easy double for Northern Ontario. Well, this is actually coming up really hard now. All of a sudden,
as you mentioned, there's the
BP
logo.
Took a left turn,
right?
Yeah.
So not bad though, right? That's kind of what I was saying. You just unlock it a little bit, you change the angle. Now the yellow one goes.
So on the boys' side of the draw, BC right now is up 3-0 after a steal in the second against Nova Scotia. And Manitoba is up 2-1. Ontario has hammer.
Trying to get rid of the back red and keep the yellow one that she's going to hit in play. So not trying to throw too much weight, just on the nose. Good throw.
Yeah, good result. So chances sit 2. Northern Ontario has a corner guard as well as now a tight center.
This is really going to curl here. She has to make sure she's out there. Oh, she's out there.
And does just roll out of play. Again, another attempt at directional sweeping, which I'm not sure how much with the current technology and the age of these athletes yet. It's even difficult at the top level right now to make these brooms actually maneuver the way it did a few years ago.
So. I don't think for 1 second they're doing anything to help it. I'll be honest.
Right.
And actually, even way out in the frost there, they're potentially hurting it from curling more because they're actually taking the frost off the ice out there, so not giving it a chance to grab a little bit. So yeah, I don't think it's helping, but they are seeing the top teams in the country. They're seeing the Holmans and Cooey's and these teams being able to steer it a little bit. But that's when you've got 220 pounds of heave on it that may be able to scratch a bit. But yeah, they're seeing it. They're working on it. You gotta try all these things. You don't get better at them. So timeout by New Brunswick.
Timeout by New Brunswick. So
the call was to peel the guard.
So Coach Tim Forsyth will come out. He is Melody's father.
I mean, the peel is fine. If the problem is, peels aren't guaranteed either, right? I mean, you play the peel and you end up sticking, and then you haven't really changed anything. I think what he's saying right now is that you have them on the ropes a little bit right now. I mean, you're up one, you're putting pressure on them every end. You've got a chance to force this, come around that red one a little bit, or tap it back even a bit, and really put some pressure on them. Or stick with the peel.
Or stick with the peel, which you're comfortable with. So.
It's fine too, right? Yeah. It's not. I'm just not sure what the timeout was.
And I wasn't sure. Yeah, I didn't see if that was actually the coach that called that, or while they were in the half or not. So.
Yeah. No, the coach called it.
He did. Okay. Yes.
He did. I was watching it. So, I would have been interesting to hear the discussion. Just a solid delivery.
So peel attempt by Carly.
It's got to curl a bit. I think she's probably pretty good. Get a piece.
Yeah, just need to get a little piece.
It's a good shot.
And this just might be a case of their team having a strategy going into the game to keep it simple, not get themselves into trouble.
The only thing that kind of makes me question that was you have 2 timeouts in an entire game, and there's a very good chance this game's going to 8 ends, and you're going to want to have some timeouts for conversations at the end of the game. What was what was the purpose of that?
Well, and you know what? It's hard to say. Tim might have actually wanted to talk to the girls about other options.
Yeah.
And maybe they were adamant that they wanted to stick with that strategy, and
he said, yeah, okay,
and he
good.
said, sure. I mean, sometimes there's coaches, and that's what's interesting in curling, how the coach roles evolve. It's not a sport commonly where the coach calls a play like Bill Belichick, right? It's a sport where there's a psychology that happens with the players. And so in this case, and not really knowing Tim's approach, but it might have been that, which is, hey, do we want to think of something else here, girls? What do we think?
It might have been as long as you've thought of this and the conversation around it. But like I said, it's the only problem is it's such a difficult game because in a 2-hour game or 2.5-hour game, you have 2 minutes to talk to your players. And that's so hard to offer support with such little time with them. So
well, and what's interesting here, right? So rather than hit, Northern Ontario took an aggressive approach, trying to draw around, ended up actually coming to the top of the red stone. And New Brunswick able to draw around, came deeper than they would have liked, but they are sitting 2. So they didn't make the peel, but they're still into a.
Well, yeah, because
they're into some some challenges now.
Yeah, that rock was really a guard in the top 12. I mean, it's very easy to come around.
And you might see this at some point. Northern Ontario might start to get frustrated and just decide they want to get more aggressive. I mean, that was definitely a more aggressive call. Didn't need to take that approach.
Yeah, 14-7, so this is going to be about top 8 probably. Looks pretty good.
If if they can just get it to finish, but it will tuck in around a little bit, so making it difficult for New Brunswick to stay.
Well, and dangerous too, right, for New Brunswick. Good throw by Jamie. If New Brunswick ever over curls and catches that yellow one and taps it in now to hit potentially to set 3 for Northern Ontario. But not a bad situation for the Northern Ontario. They've got a good chance right now, no matter what New Brunswick does, to come around that shot again and try for their deuce.
So this is the first stone for Melody Forsyth.
Just can't be soft on it, as we know. They're on it right away. Nope.
Good rotation, and looks like well thrown. Good result.
Very good throw.
Actually does stick around.
That was a tough shot. I mean, from that far end, you can only see probably a little more than half of that rock, and you cannot touch that yellow guard. It's a good throw.
So Northern Ontario will attempt another come around. Now I wonder, Dave, if they are able to get fully buried with those 2 rocks at the front, do you think the drag effect would be there, or there's too much space between the 2 rocks?
No, there's too much space.
It does look like it. Certainly why you want to come around with the, one of the reasons you come around with the in-turn at least. The out-turn, you'd just be putting the rock into a spot where they would easily remove it.
Exactly.
I could have done the Vic router there and asked you why they're playing the in-turn, but I instead just stated the reason.
13-7.
I'll save that for
this
next
is
time.
a little bit heavy. But it's curling. Look at it go now.
It does come just to the back of the 4-foot. It will force New Brunswick into a draw. So it's been this way a couple of ends, Dave, where it seemed pretty simple, nothing too dangerous, and 2 shots later, and we've got a bit of complexity to the situation.
Yeah, it's,
so,
it was
fast.
You know, 2 or 3 feet heavy for Northern Ontario. It would have been absolutely perfect. But not an easy shot. Needs to freeze right onto it to force a single point.
You can see how Northern Ontario, by choosing to come around a rock in the top 12 in the first place, then created this type of situation.
Yeah, it was a great call.
Yeah.
I liked it.
They easily could have just probably blanked and been heading to the 5th end.
Yeah. So lots of line right now. They need to let it curl a bit.
Oh, and they're right off it. It's never good when they're trailing behind the stone.
That is
a bad
not
sign.
just heavy.
Yeah. It wasn't terrible weight on it. Just maybe a foot heavy, but it also didn't catch the right line because of the weight.
No, I actually timed the same speed on both of those 2 rocks. On Bella Crozier's and Melody's. I timed,
so Melody's just sort of caught a different path and
it
stayed straight. Yeah.
I timed 13.75 on both of them, and just never caught that curl quite as soon. And you could see that Bella's at about halfway between the hog line and the house made a sudden, right-hand turn from her perspective and just curled right in there. And certainly Melody's never did.
So Northern Ontario now with a draw for 2. Just needs to really bite the 8-foot or get a good chunk of it. Same path, same draw she just threw.
Looks good.
So some aggressive calls there late in the end, and it turns out with the result they're looking for, 2 points for Northern Ontario. They'll lead 3-2 heading into the break. Hello and welcome back to the semifinals at the 2019 U-18 Canadian National Championships. I'm Kevin Palmer and I'm joined with David Nedowin. We are watching Northern Ontario against New Brunswick. Northern Ontario with their deuce last end to get ahead 3-2. So now New Brunswick with a hammer, one down. See some of the shots that got us here. The deuce by New Brunswick to get ahead, and then Northern Ontario taking some aggressive play second half of the last end and able to score 2. So Northern Ontario placing a center guard here in the 5th end. A couple shots in, and then New Brunswick choosing to throw out to the wings rather than come around the center. So a hit attempt by Northern Ontario lead. And it does just roll out of play. So we'll see if and New Brunswick's going to try throwing to the other wing. So they definitely have a strategy to avoid rocks towards the center and play away from the middle. Interesting, David, here you can see Northern Ontario with a differing strategy where they're ahead by 1, but wanting to put up a center guard and force the action and force the play. You know, one thing I noticed, this New Brunswick team is all grade 10. You know, they're quite a bit younger. They probably have a U-18 career ahead of them, much less a U-21. And you know, this Northern Ontario team really more seasoned and so a long career ahead of them. So we have an update from the BC Ontario game we're going to show. Ontario now 1 up with hammer in the 4th end.
So Ontario throwing the weight and trying to get that red one out there just far enough, and it does.
And Ontario actually takes 2 that end, so they now ahead 5-2. Oh, sorry, no, wait. I'm looking at the boys. That's probably why that made no sense. Let me check here. Oh, in that girls' action, it was yeah, Ontario took 1.
So are they up 3-1 now, Kevin?
Here we go.
They should be up 3-1.
3-1. Yeah, that's right. So
after spun that one
singles
out just far enough to get a single point. I think she was trying to stick for 2 and just a little bit on the thin side.
Oh, and we've got a peel attempt.
But gets the back one. Plan B? I mean, that goes to show you how much curl there is as she throws peel, gets by the guard, and is able to hit the one that's completely buried behind it.
All right, so I hope on the next update I try to confuse you just a little bit more and see if you can follow along. You did a great job there, Dave. I'm very impressed. Not listening to me at all, so. I expect that to continue for most of the day.
So a draw attempt now for Piper. They've got the center guard up, trying to get around it.
Now you can see that they missed that guard by probably about 2 feet.
Yeah.
So still came up a bit, but you know, with more weight there, they might have gotten that even half buried or even 3/4.
Exactly. They get that to top 4 foot, and it's almost completely buried.
Now, interesting here.
Going for the guard, eh?
Going for the guard, even though they can almost see that entire rock. So
they obviously have a clear strategy that they've talked about, especially at the 4th end break. So they have their 5 minutes to sit down and talk with coach and just make sure that they have their game plan, you know, clear and what they're going to do. And it seems to be that their goal here is to keep it as simple as possible, blank this end, keep the hammer playing even ends.
I hope that's not the theory. I'm a little mixed on even ends. I understand why players think of it in that terms. I just think sometimes it's maybe overemphasized when you have an opportunity, there was a chance there for them to make a hit, maybe rolling a little behind. So it could be that. It also could just be they want to avoid getting too many rocks in play, particularly around the center. Still early in the end. And,
well, the one shot, if you were to ask me what maybe one of the most difficult shots is on this ice with this much curl, I'd actually say it's probably a guard. Like a perfect guard is not easy to make. So, I mean, that rock was wide open in the house. They could have gone after it. But you're challenging them to throw a guard, and it's not easy to make.
And you can see here, they came right in. And reminiscent of a couple ends ago when we saw, or actually last time we saw the rocks sort of frozen at the top of the rings.
I am with you on the even ends discussion, though, that I don't think at this point that should play a huge priority in terms of the strategy they're playing, because the execution is really what is going to, right now, give them a chance to win games. I don't think they're going to execute at the level where they're all shooting in the 90s, and they can guarantee they're going to blank an odd end and guarantee to score 2 in even ends.
Well, even in, I believe it was in the game yesterday, Kevin Cooey did not have hammer in the even ends against Scotland.
Right.
So, anyway, I'd rather talk less about that because we'll let other announcers go on ad nauseum about it. But yeah, I do think just in general, from a curling perspective, even if something has a 10% chance of happening, like a three-point, 10% is significant. And at this level of skill, it's probably even higher sometimes.
Yeah.
And so here's an attempt to hit in situ. And now here's an opportunity where they may want to try a double, but they could also attempt to hit and roll behind, which I think is the better shot. You could actually roll behind either the yellow or the red, depending on how far they roll. Try to put some pressure at some point. Even if you do want to keep the game simple, you need to put some pressure on your opponent at some point in the game. So third, Carly Smith with the hit attempt.
Getting a big scrub here from Kylie to get the roll.
Yeah.
Should be nose.
Just great sweeping there to hold that. Really showing you that even if you feel like you're small and you're of a certain age, in this sport you can still excel at it. You can, if you have the right technique and you work at it. It's often been a sport where size doesn't matter, right? In terms of your strength and everything else. So I think just wanting to hit and stay there, or even just roll a bit away, but. Now moving on to Skip's Rocks here with that shot. Now, at what point, David, do you start thinking blank then? I guess at this point, she's still thinking of trying to roll underneath? Does it look like?
Yeah, I think so. I think with that ice, it's probably the hit and roll behind. And if if she hits half a rock with that nice control way she's playing, she could rub off the back of that and sit really nicely, kind of T-line buried.
Yeah, it's a difficult roll behind if you're going to play any weight on it. But you could, as you say, rub the backside of the rock and spin underneath. Ultimately, you just want to give them a difficult shot so they would, at the very least, roll out.
It's definitely a weight shot. Over curling. Well, not by much. He's pretty close.
Yeah, actually.
Had to be on it. It was tough to get that roll behind.
Yeah.
It was really hard. She threw it well.
Yeah, because you have to hit it so thin that it's likelihood you might just roll right out of the house. So they do have to make a play on it, though. Are they? Who's sitting shot there, Dave? Is it?
I think red shot. That was pretty close. But they're hitting it.
They're hitting it in either case.
Yeah. Now the trick for Bella is to try and roll in. Otherwise, it's probably just a nose hit or a blank attempt for New Brunswick.
is actually curling up quite a bit more.
She's going to roll out.
Yeah. Oh, actually fortunate there not to catch that even thinner. The red rock may have stayed in play. So chance for New Brunswick now to blank the end. You can see there just an inch less, and that would have been trouble.
Yeah.
One thing I find interesting about this game, and even at this level, right, David, is that the way you play those first few shots of an end really matter, and how you choose what shot to play can alter the type of end that's played, how many rocks are in play. This is kind of the end I think New Brunswick wanted, not to take too much chances. Look, you know, had an opportunity maybe for a hit and roll. So good final stone here, and
I think she's good.
I do think Melody has it.
Yeah.
And it's a blank, so they will retain hammer, down 3-2, heading to 6.
Good throw.
But it is something I think younger teams especially maybe don't think about, is those first couple of shots in an end then will really dictate how the rest of the game goes. And I think New Brunswick's strategy in this game seems to be, or at least appears to be, what we're looking for. Just keep it close, keep themselves in it, and they're right in this contest.
Yeah, I think so. I think the whole game plan was make sure that we're, or they're able to get down to ends 7 and 8 and have a chance to put some pressure on Northern Ontario and see what happens. I do think now that they're in the 6th end, it is time to start taking advantage of some of the guards and go for their deuce. So are they playing another guard again, or did they call it?
I'm not sure. I didn't see the motion by the skip to the side.
Calling a guard?
Looks like calling a guard, yeah.
Interesting.
See if New Brunswick plays out to the wings again, or if they choose to come around that stone.
Well, I hope they're coming around. Nope.
So maintaining the strategy. So again, what this will do is keep play away from the center. Because of the scoreboard, it's really not likely that Northern Ontario is going to choose to come around the center. They're going to make a play on it. So in some regard, though, I think if this is their strategy, Northern Ontario is letting them dictate it. And really, if we think about that blank end that Northern Ontario was able to get on Plan B by coming across the face, they nearly took one. So it's a situation where New Brunswick actually was really close to even being tied with Hammer at this point, possibly. And now that's maybe a little bit closer to the center than they would have been hoping for. So it does give a roll opportunity. Really difficult. Certainly on this kind of ice conditions and with these young players, it seems like the hit and roll is the hardest shot to judge and make.
It is, yeah. The problem is, I mean, even if Northern Ontario knows is, if New Brunswick ever rolls out, Northern Ontario's got exactly what they want, which is a center guard, which they threw intentionally, and they can run.
And so a shot actually I don't mind here would actually be to play a freeze now on this shot. Or even on that first shot, have it come a little bit deeper intentionally, have them hit. You're playing the freeze, so you're still keeping play away from the center, but you're putting a little more pressure on the opponent, creating a different situation.
Kind of it's whoever makes the first mistake here, right? I mean, both teams are going to be playing, obviously, the hit and stick. If one of them rolls out, it's advantage the other team. And these curl a long way.
Does stick around, though.
Yeah, good throw. Pretty good. I don't think you have any choice if you're Northern Ontario. You still need to make a play out. Piper Crozier, so having to switch to the intern this time as well.
You could make a play around the center if you wanted to get extremely aggressive, if you really feel that your team is better suited to make that play, but you're creating risk.
Well, they threw the center, right? They're going to want to use it eventually.
At some point, yeah.
That's pretty good. Nice shot.
And just roll towards the 8-foot. So another hit attempt by New Brunswick. Again, I like the strategy of, as the underdog, keeping it close. The thing they have to recognize, at some point, they will need to take some risk.
I think that was just a little wide.
Coming a little wide here. And so, as you say, David, so taking a defensive strategy, the danger being when you do miss a shot, now opportunity is open for Northern Ontario. They have the center guard. Even if they were able to clip that and roll out, Northern Ontario would be...
it wouldn't have changed Northern Ontario's shot.
Call,
no.
So.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know why they throw it to the side. I just have of the belief that coming around that corner or the center guard taking it away is it's the shot I would play anyways. 13-6, so that's back house.
You can see New Brunswick, I think, continuing with strategy of trying to keep things simple, want to open this up. They could choose to come around. That still is just back button. So one thought would actually be to come at that with either turn and try to play towards the 4-foot.
Well, they're sticking with the game plan they have, which is let's make sure we keep it open, get a chance to score, put some pressure on Northern Ontario and in 7-8. But
catch that a little thin and actually leave a center, although they've moved it over.
Thankfully moved it a bit, yeah.
What I would have liked there, though, is at least maybe you've got 2 yellow rocks in play. It's not likely you're going to blank now. If you are going to move the guard, maybe hit and roll over as a corner. Keep something in play if that is the shot that you want to call, if you do want to move off the center. Oh, we see a timeout being called right now by Northern Ontario.
Yeah, this is the first timeout for Northern Ontario, so Sean Crozier's called this. Did you see what the call was they were going to play?
I didn't actually, but
what the plan was? I mean, they had the broom kind of placed for, it could have been a guard or a draw. I'm not sure what the call was. I think the debate is whether or not you're going to play one short of the rings or you're going to come into the top 4-foot, kind of halfway between those two, so basically splitting the center line. So my thought is always you want to put as much pressure on the opposition as possible. The more rocks you get into the rings and shorten the rings down to make it a smaller house, the better. So, it's still thirds rock, so it's not laid in the end yet, so they're probably going to throw a guard, but at some point I think they should definitely be coming around to that top 4-foot and splitting the center line.
You can see the exasperation on that peel attempt that just hung out a little too far. So did you hear, David, or did they indicate what they?
No, they didn't make any indication. So, I mean, for our benefit, they should probably have to tell us what they're going to do after a timeout, so we know. I think they're playing the guard, but what I'd love to see is if they came right around, buried around that guard and split the center line, put a lot of pressure on the Brunswick then.
Actually, does look like they've got a bit of weight here, Dave.
Yeah, they're calling a guard though. They're tapping up front. So just a 3 that's tight to the house.
Maybe a little bit more than they were hoping for. I think this is going to slide right in. So
a bit of a chance for New Brunswick to get out of this now.
There's some
make the double.
Bit of opening there, double, or even certainly a chance to roll in behind. I think the double's important. Yeah, that rock sitting on the button, you just need to move it off of there at some point. It's love to actually just clip it, get a little inside, tuck your shooter inside, and make it really difficult. And see where this ends up.
It's got a curl.
So third, Carly Smith just catches a half that stone, rolls out of play. So opportunity to attempt the guard one more time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe a case there where she was trying to up the weight a bit, really thinking about a double, but really important to keep the shooter.
Well, they haven't thrown a lot of big weight shots yet, and that was, I mean, that was a solid throw with really good weight. I think she threw it pretty well, but they haven't iced yet for that kind of weight, and it did not, I mean, just didn't curl.
This is
same shot.
Same shot coming into the rings.
Maybe even a little deeper, actually.
Well, it's always good to throw the same shot twice.
Yep.
Learn from the first. But again, the double's great. It's really important to try to make that, but have to keep the shooter in play. Make Northern Ontario make a play on it.
Yeah, because even if she rolled to the inside a little bit, Northern Ontario has to make a good shot to guard that. Otherwise, there might be a chance for two for New Brunswick. It definitely has to stick.
Now, looked like this one got going a little bit at the start, and just a little, but
not bad.
Does roll in behind. And
decision time for Northern Ontario now.
Now, is there any space there between the two? No, and it's
pretty close, edge to edge.
Difficult shot because if it hangs out at all, it would jam on the yellow. On the button, so.
Yeah, it's actually, it's got them in a position where now Northern Ontario has to think about this. They could play the out-turn hack weight, get to nose a little inside, or they stick with their plan and go for the guard.
Even looking right now, possibly drawing right into the top four.
There you go.
That's for two. And that is the call right now.
That is the call, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Great call.
I think that hit out there, because once you get any kind of weight, and we've seen that the Rocks maybe don't finish, it's a really difficult shot. I don't know how they'd ever get an inside roll for sure, so you're just trying to get to nose. And really the danger is you jam and leave your opponent in a great shot to score two or maybe even more.
No, I really like this call. This is the call I actually wish they would have played even a shot ago, which is get another one in there and potentially go for a steal of more than one. The guard is stealing for one. Coming in, you're saying we might even steal more than one.
Now we've seen them with the ice out wide here, and it hasn't finished much with either of those shots. Now they were attempting guard weight at least.
Well, Bella's had more curl than anybody else here, because you remember hers 2 ends ago, she threw that 1375, and it really worked hard at the end, just like it is now. So she's definitely getting a little more curl than maybe some others.
Now, actually, they might want to be leaving this. I know they're bringing it in, but
pretty good.
Does potentially give an opportunity to New Brunswick if they can just play really back four weight and move that. I'm wondering if they would be shot, though, David. It's really hard to see.
I think they could get shot if they got almost to nose and stayed more or less there.
Very difficult shot.
Yeah.
Now, are they looking at some other options then?
Well, they looked for a moment at the out-turn red one, but that doesn't really help. You can see about, I'm going to say, a thin half.
Now that's not a lot of ice here. I wonder if they're playing even board weight or something of that nature. I think
the challenge is board weight to get enough curl once it's by the guard to stick on nose. But yeah, I think they should probably be thinking back line weight at most.
Well, I just think it's very difficult with any kind of weight. I think most likely here would be, even if she makes the shot, it hits and rolls over to the open. But
if she sits
still put some pressure.
Second and third, all of a sudden there's a lot of there's decision for Northern Ontario whether they hit a rock or they play again into the house.
So first shot by Melody Forsyth.
Really have to go on this.
Yeah.
On the guard. So she did throw the weight that I think was actually pretty decent, but it's just such a tough shot.
So a chance now for Northern Ontario to either guard or they're going to choose to hit and sit five.
Yeah, well, interesting call, right? I mean, they can hit this and sit five, but it should be a relatively easy shot for the single for New Brunswick. Or they draw in again. I mean, go top 8 foot, top 12 foot. Whatever, and really make it difficult for New Brunswick to score.
Yeah, now I don't know if she's trying a bit of a roll here. She wants to be careful because some chance of jamming. So I think she's just trying to get it out of play. But you're right, thinking of a fours when really you might have an opportunity to score here. So
yeah, would have been definitely would have been an option for them to throw
this
the
is
draw
coming
again.
up a ton here. Just rubs the red.
Oh no.
That's a really bad break for Northern Ontario. Yeah, we've seen, and I don't know, maybe that's even her with her rocks, but like you said, she's had a few that have come up.
Well,
more
when
than
she's
her,
missed,
yeah.
especially with this last rock, you think of the blank attempt that rolled out on the inside, her draws that were curling more than Melody's were.
Yeah.
That shot there over curling, so she's definitely curled.
And it looked like a good throw. I mean, so you do wonder if it.
It might be a little difference in the rock, if possible.
Yeah.
But you know, that's where, again, on that shot, really would have considered just drawing again and saying we're absolutely going for the steal.
Yeah. So opportunity now for New Brunswick with their last shot.
Yeah.
Potentially score 2 and go ahead.
And this has been the game plan for New Brunswick: is keep it close, put pressure on Bella, maybe get a mistake. But they really have to work this one too. It's very quiet weight. Very quiet weight.
Working hard to keep it
Good news
straight
with
and
quiet weight
great
is-
sweep there. Fantastic.
Can she ever, and not to take away anything from the other sweepers,
Yeah.
but my gosh, can Kylie sweep.
Fantastic job. Here we see them again. And that was yelling right out of her hand.
Yeah.
They hold it, get their 2 points.
She's
And,
on the inside of the rock. That's why
yeah.
I'm crediting her, with that. But I mean, she can absolutely work that broom.
So New Brunswick now ahead 4-3. Northern Ontario has hammer in the 7th end. So Northern Ontario now has to regroup. The last couple ends are probably in the mindset that we were all over this team. We really felt like we were putting the pressure on them, and all of a sudden, not the result they probably expected.
No, the difference has really been just a couple shots by Bella over curling. So now with the 1-point lead, we're seeing New Brunswick's strategy go right into the house, whereas Northern Ontario's was to play the center guards. So Northern Ontario could decide to keep it simple, keep the hammer playing last end. I don't think they will. I think their strategy has been, let's get some rocks in play now. A little bit of maybe a little adrenaline still going from her last sweep.
Might be, yeah. Her heart's still pounding a little bit. Yeah, there's no TV timeouts here. They don't have time to regroup. They're right back in the hack if you're the lead.
No, it's true, right? She was, what, 30 seconds between that sweep and throwing that rock? I mean, that's
pounding it right from down the ice.
And it's tough. I mean, I think of all the times of watching, Marcel have to sweep mine from pillar to post and then just sit in the hack and be like, now make this shot really good, right? It's hard. It's hard.
So Northern Ontario places a corner guard. Very close to the Juggo Juice sign. And
I think if you go to the side where she's tapping in the open, you're going to see Northern Ontario ignore that and go around the guard. So I do think it's fairly important that they take that guard away from them by coming around first.
Well, and this is one of those ends where, and even at this level, I think using some analytics actually can help. It's the thought process it's not even numbers related. It's understanding that you're 1 up without. Even if you give up 2 points in this end, you still have a pretty good shot in the next end. So you can get aggressive with your opponent. You fear 3. Obviously, you don't want to give up 3 points. But if you are able to make your shots, and maybe give your opponent a difficult shot at 2 and a difficult decision to make, you really have the advantage.
What a nice throw.
So a good shot, and actually showing a little piece of that rock, which I like, because it even chokes off the draw a little bit as well. But they are going to try and go around.
You're right. If you over curl that much on the other side, they can still come around it pretty easily. But that's absolutely perfect.
So Northern Ontario is going to try and come around both those rocks.
Which there's lots of curl. I mean, they certainly can. We've seen him curl around rocks in the top 12 foot so far. A little bit out there.
Yes, they want to try and bring this back as deep as they can, maybe get a little piece buried. But it does look to be fully open. Chance for New Brunswick to remove that stone, and they do want to roll away and try and sit two.
You heard Melody just say it really curls once you're on that line, so you know, cannot be tight, in other words. But that was thrown a little bit tight right from the start. Hoping to get up by theirs in the top of the house. Big scrub. Good sweep.
And got the inside roll, not what they had wanted, but still sitting two. And,
yeah, it's a little bit of advantage to Northern Ontario with that stone there.
And actually, second Vanessa Roy, she actually got involved in curling because her best friend Carly, third for New Brunswick, actually got her introduced to the sport.
Oh, cool.
In grade 3. My goodness.
Carly was curling in grade 3?
Yep.
There you go.
So yeah, the downside of that roll in behind is now it's a catcher, potentially later in the end.
Well, if Northern Ontario can get by here, it's going to be wonderful.
And it looks like it won't. Just does kiss that front red, moving it over, and rolls towards the button.
What it did do, though, to your point, is move that red rock over and makes that draw a lot easier now if they have a chance at it again.
Well, the interesting situation here is you can see that Northern Ontario is looking to score. At this point now, I think a blank is highly unlikely. So if you're New Brunswick, you're going to try and continue to put the pressure on.
Needs this one to curl a long way.
Yeah.
She's trying. Pretty good.
She's got a great shot.
Very good.
Now, Northern Ontario is attempting the hit and roll, Dave. They could just ignore it completely and try a come around here.
Yeah, that's an option. I mean, I think part of it too is, I mean, that rock's right on the button, or just in front of it. If they can nose, maybe they get a roll away on the next shot, allowing Northern Ontario then to make the draw a little bit easier.
This is coming up a little bit more than they would have liked. You know, as we mentioned, the hit and rolls are very difficult on this ice, particular.
Good throw by
to adapt to it, but now interesting. New Brunswick now electing to roll in behind rather than roll to the open as they were earlier, and I like that strategy. Obviously, as long as they can keep it above the tee line.
But objective number one is make sure you stick. Just such a square delivery. Need it to curl.
It's
close.
Just off nose.
Good throw.
Yeah.
Nice weight again.
But I do think about here, if they did try the come around at this point, what would New Brunswick attempt? Right, I don't think they're going to guard. It's hard to say.
No, they'd have to draw down to it.
Yeah, and now maybe you can play this. But if they get the roll here, they'll get the same result and get some pressure.
Good throw by Jamie.
Good throw. They are able to tuck a part of it in behind. It does look like it's available to be removed.
Well, the good news is that even if New Brunswick can remove it, they're probably rolling, you know, far and allowing them Northern Ontario to play that draw now. They could get to nose. I mean, it's there. Yeah, it's awfully risky.
It's a question of what kind of weight do you want to play, and what's your what's the result you're looking for? How much risk do you want to take?
I think they're throwing more weight. They're just going to peel it.
Yeah.
I think she's fine. They were sweeping it hard.
Yeah, they were sweeping it. They might have jumped on it a bit early.
Yeah.
Oh, Oh, yeah, they did. Oh. It's an unfortunate miss there for...
Yeah, that was just a bit of a missed line call. But she threw it extremely well.
Yeah, just rode the center line a little bit early. I always know that a lot of times, right, you jump it and the rock maybe doesn't take the motion you think it will, and you can't sweep it at that point now. You're just hoping for it to come back.
So Jamie Smith splitting the house.
So interesting here that they're going to split the rings, David. I mean, I think if you're going to be really aggressive here, I know you want to score 2, but really your thought should also be 3. And maybe they're doing this just on thirds rocks. But they were able to
nice throw
to the open.
Well, if they can roll into the middle a little bit, it's a very good chance they'll set up a double on her last shot.
It's quite a bit of ice, so I wonder what kind of weight she's throwing on this, Dave.
Well, Melody's thrown that really quiet control the whole game, so I'm guessing it'll be very similar.
And it's it's possible for her. It's very difficult, but even to roll in behind the yellow and tuck this in and possibly be shot, I think it'd be deep, but still. So first shot for New Brunswick skip.
Well, they got to go hard on this.
Yeah, I think Melody just got that going a little bit. Certainly very lightweight, almost hack,
quiet,
really. Yeah,
so quiet weight.
But I think that was the intent.
Yeah, which
is a good idea. If you want to get that roll, you're not going to be able to play it with big weight.
Yeah, when we saw from where the ice was, we expected that weight.
So again, coming around now, I just wonder, David, if there was a chance. See, I
think they can draw around that one that Melody just threw. And be buried there, but it would leave a double then off that top line, right? Off the top yellow.
I just think whatever you're going to attempt, you want to, if you can, have some chance at a 3. So we have an update for you over on sheet B.
Oh, Ontario just came away with the win. There's handshakes over there.
So Ontario actually stealing 5 in the 6th end against Manitoba.
They're trying to get around this. It's going to be close. I think they've got a really good line for this if she's got the right weight.
Yeah. Oh, it just does rub, but
sits 2.
So you can see that was an attempt to put some pressure on them and see if they could get a miss.
Really good sweep.
Let's see if
well, they're hitting one of the two.
Melody could attempt a similar shot that she did last time, trying to get that roll in behind. In fact, this rock even a little bit higher, I think. I think that's the right shot.
I think they're playing the other one this time, though. Or are they? That ice could be for either shot.
Yeah. I still think the shot is the one that she just threw it.
Yeah.
She throw the same shot. The danger with going after that other rock is there is some chance, however slight, that you might jam and all of a sudden maybe you give up 3. You don't want to do that. The real mistake here would be 3 points. If you're down 1 in the final end, you still have a good chance.
Yeah, and she's got quite a bit of house to roll to. Okay, it is. You're right. It's in turn playing the same shot she just threw.
So final shot in the 7th end here for Melody Forsyth.
Got to go on that.
Just seem to get that fired a little bit to the inside again, or is it a little more weight? It seems like though.
I think they're close.
Yeah, a little more weight. Close. And it's coming up in the end. Looks like they're just going to have a nose hit, and I think yellow's shot.
It was a nice throw though.
So it will be a draw for 2 for Northern Ontario. So they went all in this 7th end rather than stay conservative for a blank and manage to score, at least have a chance at scoring 2. So
no, I don't know if she can come to her own for 2. The red one might be out counting it
yeah,
if she ever did.
this isn't an automatic draw. There's been obviously a lot of different shots thrown in different paths. So and as we've seen, she's had some issues with this rock. If this is still the one she's using, it's curling quite a bit. So
14 to 14 and a quarter should be T-line.
So final shot here in the 7th end. Needs full 8-foot for 2 points. So sweepers are off and on, so it usually is a good sign.
Yeah, 14 and a quarter.
It is curling
right
quite a
the
bit
nose.
again, though, Dave. Look at this thing come up. And
I think she's fine, though.
No doubt.
Good throw.
Good throw, and 2 points for Northern Ontario. So they'll lead 5-4 as we head to the 8th and perhaps final end. In the other boys game, we've got BC is actually up 4-3 in the 6th end over Nova Scotia. And actually BC with hammer.
6th end.
Might be are they just finishing that end now, I think?
Oh, it looks like they have lots of time left. Both teams with over 8.5 minutes. So I'm just surprised they're so far behind.
And on the, well, I'm not sure if maybe the Curl Canada scores are not updating. And we don't actually see the board on this side, so unfortunately we can't see the scoreboard.
So Northern Ontario coming into the house on this shot. They're up 1 playing the last end. So the other option now would be to throw the center guard and go for the steal and finish it in 8. Good shot.
So in the other girls' game right now, in the 7th end, Ontario is up 3-2, and Ontario has hammer.
So New Brunswick throwing the corner guard. The only thing I'd be careful with on these corner guards, Kevin, is that you don't get too far to the outside. I mean, you really shorten the rings. But it looks like, definitely looks like Melody took enough ice that it's not going to get too far out there. Yeah, good call. Very nice.
So Northern Ontario now playing a center guard, Dave.
Yeah, nice and tight. If it slides in and freezes on, that's okay too. But they are playing, they called a 3, so just tight to the rings, but not in.
And, looks like she has a really good shot, although it is curling up maybe a little more than they would have liked. But
pretty good.
Definitely the right strategy.
Yeah, 2 very good shots by Lauren.
Really trying to force play into the center and force the opponent to 1, or even steal and finish the game here.
Oh, here we go with the second and final timeout to Team New Brunswick.
So they were calling for...
Yeah. They were going to call a little tap and kind of roll. Sean Crozier, or sorry, not Sean Crozier,
oh, no,
other
that's,
team.
That's Tim Forsyth.
Tim Forsyth did
Melody's
not like
father.
that. Yeah. I think he's, I mean, it's fine if they made that, actually. I didn't mind it, but I think he's going to say, you know, play the draw, freeze on top of this, we'll move rocks later. So the options are, the call that they were originally going to go with, which was sort of that backline wait, open it up a little bit, leave a bunch of guards around, which is pretty good.
Roll it to the corner.
Yeah, roll it to the corner. Or a freeze. I mean, I think those are the two shots that you have. The freeze you can actually do a couple things with. I mean, you could play the freeze onto the one in the top 8 foot, and if you're, ever a little bit heavy, you actually just bring it around and probably sit shot rock half buried.
You could elect to just try and come around your own corner that you play, so it's a very, it's a small port.
So it looks like they're staying with the shot they originally called, which, again, I think that's both timeouts now. I think it's just that confirmation that when you're, Kylie's sitting in the hack, making sure that she knows exactly what the call is, right? I mean,
now, the only danger with that, as you say, if we get later in the end and there's a big shot trying to make a determination of trying to go for 1 or 2, at this point now, the team will be up to themselves to make that call, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, New Brunswick's out of timeouts.
Yeah.
This is not an easy shot. I think that's why Sean called the timeout or Tim, sorry, to make sure that she was really clear on what weight to throw. Because if she overthrows this at all, I mean, you're obviously icing for it to curl. You would miss it all, right? And then you haven't changed anything.
Well, this looks like actually it's going to come up a little bit more than they would like. Might actually get right to the nose. Now, if they can push that at least to the tee line.
It's not all bad.
Could help them later.
It's a tough shot, though, right? It's really difficult. Her eyes. It just did what?
Yeah.
You know what? She threw that pretty well. She had the exact right weight.
She did, and really, if she just came up a little bit at the end, if she catches even an inch or two less, just flops over to the other side of the center, and I think the yellow's in. I mean, they still have lots to play with here.
Oh, yeah. That's only leads rocks, and the good news for New Brunswick is there's a lot of rocks in play, and that's what they need.
Yeah, so
there you go, a bit of a break for them.
Not really the result there that they wanted, and opening up the yellow on the center line. The way things are shaping up, New Brunswick will have their opportunity. Certainly.
The challenge is for New Brunswick that there's no draw right now on either side. So if they make this hit and roll, they're not going to be shot. They still don't have a shot in for their single because both sides are covered. At some point, they may have to move that red rock, the guard in front of the rings, tap it in, or. But good. That's a good call for now.
Yeah, good throw here by Vanessa, and that's just. But
if they could ever have held that a hair straight and made the double, boy, that would have been nice.
I don't know if they were watching for that.
No,
because they were sweeping to curl.
So hit and roll, get behind for Piper.
But it's still a good result because if they nose this and don't get to the inside,
you draw in now.
Opportunity for a draw or a tap back.
It's going to roll out. Well, there's an opening for New Brunswick. Again, not an easy shot. I mean, the port is definitely there, but not huge. And the curl is so late that you're going to be on that yellow guard almost all the way down and then just hope it curls by it at the end. And if they're not on the yellow guard, that means they're definitely going to be on the red guard. But you can see there's no rotation on this rock, basically, so it's more or less going sideways on it.
Even a little bit light as well, actually, so which is unfortunate. But if they can get these lined up well, maybe something they can use later, but not the result they were looking for, but definitely better than coming deep and heavy there.
It's a difficult shot to throw because you're looking at the broom so far out, and you can see that yellow guard there, so you know, in the back of your mind, you're kind of thinking, okay, well, I'll just steer it a little bit to make sure I'm going to get the curl. But the minute you do that, you know, you take the rotation off, and it's already too late.
Yeah, and the weight there maybe wasn't that bad. It was really just the rotation that helped the rock slow down a bit. You don't need to have tons of rotation, but you really need to have enough. I know we've had that discussion about, because you weren't one that necessarily threw a ton of rotation on your rocks, David. But
no, it's more about how the positive release is. A lot of times the lack of rotation is associated with a soft release. So as long as it's still a positive release, you don't have to have an enormous amount of rotation.
So Northern Ontario electing to come wide on the outturn here around their yellow guard. And I don't know if that'll even really come into play.
Didn't change much, did it?
No, it might actually help New Brunswick if, depending.
You almost wonder if they should be. I mean, that's a tough draw.
I almost like the double tap.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And
it might open it up. It gives you some options.
Well, I mean, you know, one shot you could try. It's certainly difficult. If you hit that on the high side, you try and almost slash those two red. You can almost get yourself sort of a raised split.
Yep. Yeah, this is a tough shot to get in there now. I mean, that hole's there, but the way the rock is moving,
so you can see this is actually out a bit wide. And now they're looking at a plan B here.
Yeah. And
I
unfortunately,
suspect this is going to come up on the front yellow. Yeah.
Which actually helps them. That you know, there's not all bad in that. They've opened up the 4-foot. The one thing they want to make sure is they have a shot on their last rock to get a single point, at least to go to the extra end. But to our conversations before, with no more timeouts, that might have been a good time when they could have used one to say, hey, let's make sure we're thinking about, you know, the fact that we need to at least score one here and how we're going to do that.
Now, Northern Ontario is going to continue to bring rocks towards the center, I guess, and they're coming in.
Yeah, top 4-foot makes it really hard for New Brunswick to do much. So Jamie Smith.
So Brusher's not touching it right now. Although the weight looks.
It doesn't look heavy to me, but they're saying bring it back.
Yeah.
Looks pretty good.
Well, just a little deeper than they would have liked, but right on the button. So chance for New Brunswick to get in there and get on top and sit shot if they can just tap that, but it's going to be hard to get two if they can't move it out.
Got to freeze.
Now, see, now they're looking at a few different options.
Yeah.
It's a case where I'd almost like to maybe see Carly come down and have a quick chat.
Yeah.
Plenty of time on the clock.
Yeah, you're right. 7 minutes. 7+ minutes.
Yeah, you don't know how clear Carly is in her mind about what it is the shot she's playing. It might have been good for her to come down and have that discussion.
Carly doesn't like it. She's calling it off, but I think it's close to what they asked for. They're trying to double peel and maybe move that one a bit. Good throw.
So they did open up the play a little, even further.
Yeah, I think, though, that Northern Ontario just replaces that even better and makes it more difficult for New Brunswick to score a single. So I think their shot was definitely to come around and follow that down.
Or potentially double tap if they felt like that was another option. But I kind of agree that I think the path was there. The opponent just did it. They could have tried to follow through, and even if you do rub the front, maybe you spin out. Maybe it's a rock that they'll want to make a play on if they feel like they have to. So still that outturn side's open. And even if they place a rock here, it's just going to get very difficult as the house gets smaller and smaller. And Melody's maybe facing a difficult shot just to extend the game. And a bit of noise there, as I think there was some activity on the Ontario and BC girls game.
A little bit deeper than they wanted. there a hole there that they can throw some weight at it? Actually,
I wonder, because if they can
nuzzle up against that other yellow, it's just shot buried.
So skip stones now for New Brunswick. And I think you're right, David. They needed that, even if it's a bit deep. I mean, they needed it to come up further, cover more of that stone. I think, and back to that timeout, this would be a great time. Yeah, because I think this is the wrong call. Although it's a very difficult hit and roll. I mean, you know,
that's a tiny
in retrospect,
that's a tiny hole.
This might be the right call, particularly if you're just trying to make sure you have a shot at one. And
if you can move this off the button,
move it off the button,
you're going to have a shot for one with it, Trent.
Yeah. So I maybe we're just as guilty at sometimes of looking at these shots and going, well, what would Kevin Cooey do? And then maybe that's not always the right, right thought.
Nope, I agree.
That's
I think this is fine.
Yeah.
This is a good call.
Yeah.
They are fortunate that rock isn't 2 feet further, making it more difficult.
Now, is she trying to get to the nose on it, David?
I think so.
Yeah, and leave her rock in the front. Which,
yeah. Sure be nice if they could sit third in some way, make that double and sit second.
Well, forces Northern Ontario to make a play on it.
Yeah.
So, just
so
misses the back. Rock on the button, so yeah, really close. Good throw, and just couldn't hold it. Even if they move it off of there, even if they don't get it out of the rings, they just. So it's going to be pretty difficult now. Are they throwing just going to throw a long guard, I think, David?
Sure.
You can see right there, just missed it.
Yeah, guarding it up, and I think you're going to leave just a long run back for New Brunswick to tie the game.
So final stone in this 8th end for Northern Ontario. No mistake there. So really the one shot available. Or they
good throw.
They actually thinking that they may be able to play a tap on their rock in the top 12.
I think
it's
they're
a really
both there,
long guard.
Yeah. I think they're both there. I mean, they're both hard. Maybe the tap's not there now that I have a second look at it. I think the run back's probably the easier shot.
Yeah, I mean, both shots are for one. There's really no chance. There's no run double for two.
No.
So Carly indicating there, I think that at least with this shot, you could even rub off your own. There's a couple of other, I guess, second chances you may have. Difficult either way.
Just that same weight she's been playing, I think, is fine. I mean, that's the one thing that you don't have to do here is overthrow this. You want it to stick around. She's comfortable with that control weight.
So some nervous smiles from Melody. She's about to throw her last rock. Sometimes as a skip, these actually are maybe a bit easier, David, because you know it's a tough shot. And
you're saying the skips run backs for one are a bit easier?
Well, I mean, easier to throw as a skip because
your guard is.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I think the last one was a bit easier, but hey, you know, if you make it, it's she looks really close.
She's pretty close.
Really close.
She's pretty close.
Oh,
good try.
She does just catch it a little bit high. Good try, and Northern Ontario with a steal of 2 And they will win and move on to the finals.
Well, that was a great game, and I'll tell you, New Brunswick has a lot of years, obviously, to look forward to playing in this event again. Second year, they made it to the semifinals.
Yeah.
Definitely be walking out of here holding their heads high and looking forward to next year.
Fantastic game, and we will, I guess, be joining you later for the finals at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. So until then, David,
we'll see you back at that time again with Team Northern Ontario going for their second national championship this year, playing against the winner of BC and Ontario.
BC and Ontario.